Each year, Drexel Entrepreneurship gives away hundreds of thousands of dollars in funding, primarily through their startup competitions. So we spoke to the students who won it all at Drexel's most recent competition, Future Fest.
Hey everybody, my name's Janis Niv.
Hi, I'm Gia.
I'm Patrick.
While Janis walked away from this year's fest with a cool
$10,000.
Patrick championed the
Fast pitch competition.
where Gia was
At the judges table.
I'm a third-year Drexel entrepreneurship major.
I'm a third-year entrepreneurship student.
I'm a fourth-year biomedical engineering student.
I'm the founder of Soothe Pop.
Close School Ambassador.
International student.
Join us on this episode where we discuss pitching and winning under the bright lights, how to find your own business idea, and even these entrepreneurs' favorite songs.
Right. So, Gia, I do have a question for you. I noticed you were on the judges panel for some of the. I noticed you were on and off maybe, and I also didn't get the introduction to the Future Fest. So I to this day I don't know what your role was.
I was basically just a timer. I
Okay.
was timing everyone. So for all three pitches, I timed. So I got the time for 2 minutes for the first pitch, 3 minutes for the second, and then 15 for the third one.
Got it. Okay. Were you allowed to have any actual opinion on the final decisions or?
No, I wasn't actually part of the
Got it. Okay.
judges discussion, but I got to see some of their scores. They had I forget what it was. I forget what each each different competition had, but they basically had columns, and then there was three, it was one for notes, what their idea was, and then it was three that they had to score out of 10.
So Gia, you've always been my favorite person ever. What did the judges say about me?
I don't remember. I mean, obviously you won, so
Yeah.
they had some nice things to say, but I remember I remember specifically when they were doing Patrick's, they did very high, and I was yeah, I agree. It was interesting.
Tell me more.
It was interesting because I was able to basically look over at their scores and be I agree with that, or I disagree with that. I know one of the questions was how viable the problem was, basically how much of a problem is it, and then the third one was what the solution, how if the solution actually solved it, but I don't remember what the second one was.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's interesting because it's always really good to know get the feedback from people, because I've pitched I've probably done around 20 pitches so far.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and the only one that I got feedback from, the actual scoring sheet, was with entrepreneurship organizations. They had a EO Philly chapter where I pitched. I got to the final round, and then they actually gave us the scoring and everything, which really helps you for future pitches, because then you get an idea of what people are usually looking for, and you get to evaluate your own performance. So basically they had scales of, I think I can't remember how much, but they had 5 scales where they just picked one. It was either strong, your strength on different aspects of the pitch competition. And they were basically just going off on that, this person did well on let's say financial part of the pitch, or market study or feasibility study, or the solution, or this person was confident during his presentation and things like that. So I think we are being judged in a lot of aspects. So yeah, I really think it's good to know, get feedback from every pitch, because I feel that would help me a lot to, just improve on the next one. Because, if you just compete, get back, win or lose, you're not getting any feedback. That means, it's hard to make changes. And even if you make changes, you won't know if it's a good change or a bad change. So getting those feedbacks are really nice.
Yeah, you should definitely talk to someone about that and be
yeah.
you should get feedback on the pitches, because even if you I think losing is worse than winning, obviously, but in the aspect of if you don't get feedback on it, because if you win, you're oh, I did a good job, but in winning, it's you're oh, I know I'm strong in a lot of areas, but losing, it's you don't know what you did wrong.
Exactly.
So if you got the feedback, you could able if it was about your actual product, maybe you could pivot and become very successful.
Exactly.
So for the biota competition, I actually received an email. I wasn't expecting it. I just received an email with feedback on my application. And that was super helpful because the thing I scored the lowest on was customer validation, meaning I wasn't able to show anybody, yeah, people have tried this, people like it. People have tried my thing and it actually does cure their sore throat. I had none of that. So that actually caused me to switch up my entire presentation last minute. And that's why I had a taste test with the QR code and stuff. And I think that really helped me because, I mean, I was able to flip a weakness in my presentation, which is I don't have any customer validation, which is a huge weakness, to one of the strengths where I would have left, even if I lost the competition, I would have left with more than I entered. So I would have left with, because I had a survey up, I actually only got 7 responses. So that wasn't.
One of them was me.
Oh, great. Well, wait, you should have told me that. That's not, it needs to be anonymous. It's okay. I don't know which one was yours.
That's fine.
But in the future,
okay,
keep it anonymous. That's why I also
good.
didn't tell anybody what flavors were in there. I mean, it was probably allergy risk, but like I didn't tell anybody what flavors were in there just because I wanted to see what people thought it would be. So that way I could know what to name it. So it's just little minor things. Surveys are really tricky. You have to get the wording exactly right. Otherwise you might bias somebody. So I think I probably did that because I didn't have any kind of like actual assistance with the survey. So, but that feedback that I received was so helpful. And one of the judges came up to me afterwards and said that showed that I was being resourceful and gonna make great use of the time that I had on the stage to get something, which I wouldn't if I had just flat out pitched it. So I think that feedback was super helpful. I also got to meet with Professor Chuck Sacco, and we actually just went through my slide deck, and he's obviously amazing. Every second with him, you learn something. So that was, again, hugely helpful. And there was no shortage of feedback. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was lucky enough to win, is that I was given so much feedback even before my pitch. I would have, if I received all that feedback after my pitch, I don't know, my pitch wouldn't have been that great.
Yeah, I think that's very true. In terms of, when I pitched for EO Philly, we had a dress rehearsal before the actual competition. So they basically provided us with industry experts. So there were people who had, for me, I was pitching with my underwater drone business. It's
an underwater. I'm sorry, you said underwater drone?
Yeah, it's the third one. But basically,
I need to look at your LinkedIn. This is insane.
Yeah, I was given these people who had worked in robotics before, and I pitched to them, and they gave me feedback on, things like market study. And, I actually did make some major changes because initially, when I thought about, my business with that, I'll just be really quick about it. So with underwater drones, I'm integrating AI and object recognition so it can detect stuff underwater, and I'm focusing on golf balls. So I'm retrieving golf balls from golf courses, from ponds and lakes. So with that, I had projected I would not really charge that much of a price for service to just attract customers. And I had set a very low service point. And my revenue model, it was more based on the product, meaning after collecting those golf balls, refurbishing and reselling, that was my main source of revenue.
Are they really that expensive?
They're not, but in America, they lose around 300 million golf balls every year.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So even if I am able to get 10% of that, that's 30 million balls. I sell them for $1 each. That's $30 million. So
it's also really environmentally friendly as well.
Exactly. And, I can actually market it as a sustainable product because it has, it's a recycled product. Otherwise, you would just be killing plants and animals around fishes and whatever plants there are around ponds and lakes. I am basically cleaning ponds and lakes, right? So I could do the same thing for any ponds and lakes. So this could be a thing, this could on a larger scale, you could think of this as a tool to clean rivers, lakes in third world countries where they are facing water crisis.
Could you maybe run us through the event from start to finish?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you had any involvement
and setup, but just sort of what it looked like.
Yeah, so Future Fest was held in the first floor of Pearlstein, as well as Mendel. So in Pearlstein was the proving ground, and basically that was where like all the students who have businesses were able to like showcase their stuff. I actually bought a couple of things from there. It was actually really cool. But in Mandel, they had that's where they had like the registration for like the different pitches, and that's where like in the theater was all 3 pitches, and then after that there was a keynote speaker. I forget. I think it was like BB Sketch. I actually wasn't there because I went to the proving ground.
Yeah, it was Brian something.
I don't know his last name yet, but his name was Brian, and he's like this amazingly cool business, just selling art to very cool people.
Yeah. I think he was making like shoes for like Nike? Football players and stuff,
basketball
like custom
players. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Custom made shoes.
Yeah, so he talked about like his career, how he got to where he is. I think he also has like 4 kids, which is very impressive to just support 4 kids and like family as an artist. So he's very humble about it too. That's one of the things at first I was like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And the more he spoke about his business, the more I realized there's a lot more going on than, I mean, there's the volume that he must have of clients is huge, as well as, well, his income. Because as he pitched, it started coming together that, wow, this guy's business is so impressive. And I think that was really well put together pitch, because he showed us that he, like, have you ever heard show not tell in like sales? He showed us that he has a successful business doing what he does, but he didn't tell us I'm very successful. Like it was very well done.
I think the cool thing about like people like that is like kind of like what you said before, of like the whole aspect of like, it's not just their business. Like they have a life outside of that. Like, I think that's what's so great about like a lot of entrepreneurs, is that they're not just like all business. It's that like, yeah, they have families, and they do other activities and stuff like that. And I think that's what really makes like an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Like I'm a blacksmith, bro. Nobody knows that. I'm really terrible at it. Like
I knew that.
Well, yeah, you knew that. But like I cut myself in the head trying to make a knife.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Wow.
It's still sitting in my drawer, half finished. Anyways, I guess maybe I can talk about what the day of the pitch was like for me. I think I stayed up until 7 a.m. working on my pitch because Professor Chuck Sacco said it was due at 8 a.m. and I just couldn't focus. So I was like sitting there. I'd like get work done for like half an hour, and then I'd just stare into space for half an hour until the sun came up. And it actually it all worked out. My mom came up, and then I was just like a ball of adrenaline until like 10 p.m. that night. It was really exciting. I was so happy I went second, because I got to see like what the process was like. I got to see the judges ask questions, but then I didn't go after Andrew Gallitzer, who I think had, I mean, I'm not going to say whose pitch was better, but his presentation skills were like,
they were amazing.
Because he's basically a teacher. So, I mean, he's very comfortable in front of a crowd. Yeah, so I'm really happy.
It was very entertaining, like his pitch.
I'm really happy I didn't have to go after him. So, and then like on the stage, I'm happy my mind didn't go completely blank. But there's at least 2 things I forgot to say that I really wanted to say. I was just thinking to myself, oh my God, my posture is going to be terrible in the photos that come back. Like there's just these, and I forgot to shave. Like there's stuff that just like, runs in your head that's like not related to the pitch. And then you say, oh, well, what if I accidentally cursed? Like the intrusive thoughts just come out while you're like on the stage holding a microphone. I was like 80% satisfied with my pitch, but I was 100% satisfied with how I answered questions. So all in all, I was very happy. And then, I mean, my mom was in the audience. Like she drove 2 hours up from Maryland where we live. So if I didn't do that, if I didn't win, like at least something, I would have felt stupid for making my mom drive all the way up here. Gas prices in this economy, like it's just. And then it was just like a really fun day. Everything is like. It's kind of a blur. Like I networked with a lot of people, and I've forgotten so much of what they said because I just didn't have time to process anything. The other thing is I gave out samples. A lot of them came back like half eaten. I was kind of sad. So because I picked up the trash myself. I think that was actually probably one of the smartest things I did was pick up the trash myself, because I got to see how much of the popsicle people ate. So that's a really important thing. Like don't forget to do the Like, don't have somebody else do testing. There's a lot more you could learn because you, the founder, are doing the testing. So,
well, how did you feel after you pitched? Like after you got off the stage?
honestly, I was just relieved. Like, you know, I'm relieved I didn't like fall on my face or something. But like I was wearing heels. You know, I would have felt. That's just one of the things that you're scared of. Like, oh, I'm going to fall over, or something like that. So I was just kind of happy it was over. And then I just went and sat next to my mom. And then it was really rude. What we did is we just talked for the whole next presentation about how my presentation went. So, but I think I was just really relieved that, and I knew it was, you know, after you do enough pitches, you get to know that one was pretty good. That one was, my content was great, but my, the way I presented myself wasn't great. That one was great, but my tone of voice was a little choppy. I think mine was a little choppy. Or you get to know, I think I've told the complete story, or maybe I didn't. So I thought that I told almost the whole story, which is kind of all you can expect. Especially like you can always rehearse more, but at the end of the day, you get like 15 minutes and it's always just a minute too short. So,
yeah, for me, I just did the short pitches, the fast pitches, and I did like both of them for international students and the regular one. So, you know, when I first pitched, I didn't really prepare much. Right?
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I didn't really, because like the way I like just me in general, the way I work is if I memorize things and try to say that out, like it doesn't work out, because if I forget one word, like I'm done for. I can't remember the rest. So I usually like just think about the specific things I want to talk about. So like if I'm like when I pitched with my switchers idea, what I did was, you know, I didn't really like think about what I was going to say, like the entire content, but rather what question do I have to answer, or
that's a good way to think about it. Is what questions do I have to answer?
Yeah, so you know, like I started with, you know, what the problem is and how big of a problem there is and what the solution is. And then, you know, it's things like, is it efficient? Am I going to make money? How hard of a process is this? And it's like, if I was to, you know, try to memorize these contents, I don't think I would have done so well, because yeah, I just can't memorize things.
Okay, so for those of you who are just getting started with pitching and you don't know what to say on your slides, look up Guy Kawasaki's pitch model. It has like 10. It has there's like a slide template and with 10 questions that you should answer with your pitch, and that's a great place to start. And then the next thing that you think about is, what would judges or anybody in a certain field, what would they think about my pitch? So I think that's where, if you have no idea how to build your pitch, that's where I would start. Is Guy Kawasaki's, I think it's called pitch model, pitch deck, something like that. Just Google it. It'll be the first thing that pops up is probably what, I think he has a blog. He's like just like a legendary, like, I don't know, VC, is he in venture capital? I have no idea, but he's just
Gotcha.
One of those innovators you should watch out for.
Yeah, for sure. Like over time, you know, my pitch deck, that also has changed a lot, because like when I first pitched, it was a lot of words. It was very few actual demonstration of what I was trying to do, or, you know, very few pictures, very few graphs. And then like over time, over many pitches, now I mostly just have graphs and numbers and like minimal words. You know, it doesn't even have to, again, like this is also a challenge, because when you think about it, you know, when we get into competitions, we're asked to send the pitch decks, right? And then in those cases, if you only have slides, like in your slides, if you only have pictures and graphs, I feel like it might also be in a way unclear, because a lot of what you want to say is with you, not in the pitch deck. Right. So like I'm still like in a dilemma about, you know, yes, we should have more engagement with who we are talking to. Like we should have more engagement with judges, you know, have more graphs, have more pictures. But then also when in the initial phase of the competition, right? Like, is that good enough for you to be qualified? Because, you know the story, you're going to tell the story through the slide deck. But when you're just sending the slide deck, are you still sharing that story? So I think that part is also very important, that you have that flow going on in your slides. You have like the good balance. So if you looked at my pitch and I didn't talk at all, like you should still be able to see the entire aspect of the company, right? Because you should have, what the problem is, what the solution is, how you're going to make money, those kind of things. Yeah. So for pitching, yeah, I think I'm blanking out. What was I talking about?
So what are you guys' steps going forwards, right? Janis winning the incubator competition, Patrick winning the fast pitch, and Gia, is it judging next for you?
I don't think it's judging next to me. I don't know.
You should. I'd love to see what you can
I'm
do.
a very
Pick me.
I'm a
Pitch something
very
now,
shy
go.
person. So I've always been like literally like I didn't talk in like school until 7th grade. So like the fact that I'm like doing this now is like, it shows that like I've like improved. But I don't know. I actually, every time, it's funny, like every time I come up here to like buy auto or like do like anything with the close group, like yesterday I was meeting with a prospective student who like, by the end he was like, yeah, I want to come to Drexel. So like, obviously like that was good. But like, it was just like, every time I come here and like do something, it's like, why don't I have a business for myself? Like, it's like I've always like, it's something I want to do. Like I get inspired like every time I like see like your guys' pitch or like hear you guys talk about your stuff. Like even now, like when you guys are just talking, I'm like, well, like what am I doing? Like I'm not doing anything. So I kind of had this little like, not like dilemma or like thought, but like this like almost like little like light bulb yesterday. I was like, well, like what if I did this? Like what if like this is like something that I like to do like as a hobby as well, and like what if I just like made it into a business? So it's just kind of like,
You should absolutely try it. And the thing about being a student is that people are a lot nicer to you when you're a
Yeah.
student. So if you go to a pitch competition, you're like, oh, well, I'm a Drexel student and I'm in my 3rd year and this is this business that I'm working on outside of classes. People are like, oh, you are? But if you like, once you graduate and you like, people are like, okay, so you chose to do this instead of going and finding a real job. That's interesting. So even if you fail, just get out the way right now, you know? I also think that you'd be amazing at whatever you like, you know, put your mind to. But you also can't force it. Like when I came, I think every freshman or whoever enters this space, they all feel that they're like, well, shit, where's my business? But you can't force it. You also don't have to make one from scratch. There's plenty of people who are looking for something, who are looking for someone who's qualified, who just has, you know, more time. So you don't need to like innovate from, I mean, there's a bunch of ideas out there with not enough people, with not enough capital, with not enough time to work on them. So it's not like you need to make it from scratch, but it doesn't hurt.
I think the thing that like I want to do is like I want to make it special. Like I don't want it to be like every other like thing out there. So like for like context is like one of my hobbies is like embroidering, so it's like a new thing.
Me too.
Oh my gosh. So I was like, oh, like what if I like made a company like embroidering things? But like what I want to do is like basically just like have like part of the money go to like a foundation or something like that. So my grandmother less than a year ago died of like melanoma. So
wow. Okay.
I was thinking of like maybe like donating to like that like research foundation, because like that's kind of what they had for in like the obituary. They were like, oh, like instead of sending flowers, like a bunch of flowers to my mom, like here, donate here. So like I was kind of thinking of doing something like oh my gosh, like that. But yeah, that's kind of my idea. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
see,
I really
like
wanna do it, but
you should like get this out there, right? Like you just told us this idea, right? You'll get some feedback from us.
yeah.
Talk to somebody else. Talk to Chuck. Talk to Dr. Salas. Talk to a bunch of people, because you know, like my idea started when I was in class. You know, we were just like brainstorming, trying to do a project for a class, and like now I'm here actually doing it. You know, that was because I was like, I think this is something I want to do. So I'm going to talk to people about it, see what they think. And then, you know, I was like, the way I'm not an entrepreneurship major. So the way I got into the space was like, I did a co-op here, right? And I was actually studying abroad during that time. Like when I got interviewed or pitched, like that was like one of the very first few pitches that I've done. And like when I pitched, it was, they really kind of started digging in and asking questions about, what you want to do or like where you see yourself in a couple of years and those kind of things. That really gives you some idea of how you can approach your business. So you're saying, you want to like have an embroidery business, have a foundation, and, like a nonprofit kind of in a way, right? So I would say, when you start talking to people, you will find someone who has a similar model to like what you are trying to do. Like you will find somebody who is donating a part of their profit to some organization. You can talk to them directly, or you can start talking to people in general, and eventually you will get connected to someone who is doing very similar to what you're doing. And then you can just, go back and forth with them, get your ideas out. And then, because they've been through that process, they will tell you exactly what to do. So you don't have to struggle as much, because, you can't really be an entrepreneur without struggling, because you're either, right? Like you either don't have the team, or you don't have the capital, or there's always some problem that you need to solve. As soon as that problem gets solved, you have another problem. So it's really like a bunch of these moving parts, which you just like push into its position, and then another part pops out. So you just keep doing that until, it looks, well, perfect, or, at least close to perfect. So I would say, if you are interested in doing something like that, start talking to people maybe in the garment industry, or, also see what kind of market you have, like who you can attract, what kind of people you can attract. You could have something like, you are teaching embroidering to people, that could be one thing. Or it could be you are having, it could be something like a cultural thing. You could be embroidering a bunch of art from different parts of the world into t-shirts and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Or you could, or you could just be embroidering like memes and stuff,
Yeah.
It's a business, like, and it sells. Say if you have like catchy things that you can come up with, have it embroidered, it will sell.
Yeah.
Because, there are just so many people who want to buy so many things. Like, it's very likely with what you're trying to do, like you will get customers. Like it's not as hard to find specific customers, because you already have like general people as your customers.
Yeah, full disclosure, in advance, sorry to Rob. During his class yesterday, I was actually looking at like different designs of like different things that I could embroider on t-shirts, and I this weekend I'm planning to go to Walmart to get like a t-shirt and a sweatshirt and like actually like
That's
try out
awesome.
and stuff like that.
That's
So, yeah.
awesome.
But those are my next plans. I think judging would be cool, but I'm not enough of a skilled entrepreneur like all the professors and stuff like that. But what are your guys' next steps?
So my next steps are to make a formula. I talked about this a little bit on my pitch, but basically Drexel has a food lab. I've connected with them, and I won the Biata Entrepreneurship Co-op. So that means I have 6 months to work on my business full time. That could be in this space, but what I think it's going to end up looking like is that I'm just making a formula. I could pay someone to do it. It's around $4,000 to $7,000 to like have somebody make a formula for you, but they're not me. And if I don't like it, then maybe we have to start from scratch. If I want to change it, then that's going to be more expensive. So my plan is to, I think, just make a formula myself and then send that to somebody who is a professional, and again, shell out those $4,000 to $7,000 and have them either critique it or make different flavors from that. And then I said I wanted to get a product on the market by this flu season. I don't know if that's going to happen. That was optimistic. I'll just say that. That was very optimistic. It wasn't a lie, but it was optimistic. So I don't know when it's going to happen. I just know it is going to happen. I also need to start networking with people. I said I was looking for a co-founder in my pitch. I don't know if that's still the case with the whole greedy for equity part.
Yeah.
I mean, also, I think if I can keep like my business like within my family or within friends that I've met before pitching or before, winning all this funding, then I know that they're not going to screw me and pull a Mark Zuckerberg. Then I feel like that's the way I should go. So I don't know, just keeping my head down, working on it. I also know that the more I'm in this space and showing up during the length of my co-op, the more willing people are going to be to help me. So, I mean, that's just what it is. Kind of like I have this rule where I go to class, even if I'm late, even if I'm half asleep, and even if I feel like I can't pay attention that day, because people recognize your face and they know that and I know that if you show up, odds are if you ask them for something, you don't have to be the brightest, you don't have to be the best, you don't have to have the best essay, you don't have to raise your hand all the time in class, but just show up and then people will be more happy to give you stuff like, research, or a connection or something like that. So I feel like I'm just going to show up even if I feel like I can't do anything. Even if I'm not very super productive, I'm at least going to be here. I'd rather be not productive here than in my apartment. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, you should be in this space because like when I first started, like, it was the same story with me too. Like I did my co-op, right? And probably a year ago at Baeta. And, initially I didn't really know like anybody because, I come from a different school. Like I come from biomedical engineer and not entrepreneurship. And most of the people here are entrepreneurship. But, like once you come here, like, you show your face, you started talking to people. Like I've gotten a lot of help from this space, like, with making my pitches, getting feedback, editing and all that. Like there are so many resources and so many resourceful people in this space. So you should definitely, like moving forward, you should definitely like come here, talk to people. It doesn't always have to be your business, your idea, right? You just talk to people and these people might know other people, right? Like that's how it's like Internet of Things.
All right, winning. The elephant in the room, how did it feel to win? Like when they said your name, what was the first thing that went in your mind, both of you?
Between announcing third and second place, there was 15 minutes of speeches, and that was so stressful. Like me and my mom were just like staring at each other. And then like one more person came up to speak, and then there was another person that came up to speak, and we were just so over it. I couldn't listen to a word they said. And then when they called my name, I didn't believe it. Sometimes I do this thing where I don't know what people say if I can't read their lips. Like I'm not deaf. I don't know. Maybe it's called auditory processing, something or other. So I didn't really believe it. But then my mom was like screaming. Everybody's looking at me. So then I was like, okay, well then I guess it's me. And then I also didn't know if I was going to win. Like third and second places, I won't say that it surprised me. I will say that I did think Andrew Gallater would win. So the placements really surprised me. And I was just kind of like, sizing myself up to the rest of the pitches in my head, kind of weighing the probability of, am I going to win? Like the process of elimination, thinking, am I going to win? Am I not? I have my opinion of the pitches and which way that I thought it was going to go. But obviously the judges are more qualified than I am to judge these kind of things. So it was just kind of a weird experience. And then I did the math in my head. Drexel has given me a grand total of $29,500, which is, not counting taxes, I guess, but like that's insane. So not that I wasn't going to do that, not that I wasn't going to follow through before, but it just really hit the nail on the head that I have to follow through. Which isn't like, I wasn't planning on like absconding to Aruba, but I have to follow. There's a lot of eyes on me now that I need to capitalize on, and I need to shake a bunch of hands. And, you're kind of on autopilot when you're networking sometimes. So I think that's kind of where I was, I was on autopilot, and then I don't know. It was a really out of body experience. We went out to dinner to celebrate. That was really nice. And then I came home and my roommate is blasting Kanye until 2 a.m., knowing that we're Jewish, my mom and I. So I don't know if that was intentional or not. So that really brought me back down to earth, that not everybody is going to be licking my feet. Yeah. I guess that's what it was like. I won fast pitch in November. And at that point, somebody came up to me and he was like, you deserve this. I was like, what the fuck? I do? And then another person came up to me. He's like, oh, well, you should apply for the biotic competition. I was like, not the biotic competition, the biotic co-op. I was like, you're right. And then fast forward, here I am. So I think that little bit of people believing me, they believed in me enough to give me $500. And then I realized that they might believe me enough to give me $19,000. And then they might believe in me enough to give me $10,000 on top of the $19,000 that I won for the scholarship. I was also kind of worried, maybe they'll think I have too much money. And I don't know if I do, but
There's never too much money in entrepreneurship.
And there's like a slim chance that I can launch without giving away equity. So or get a product on the market without giving away equity. So that realization set in the next day that I was like, I can launch, like actually like get something manufactured, because that's always going to eat away the money. So I don't know, maybe I'll need like a loan or like friends and family funding, but I doubt it. So that's super exciting. So that opened a lot of doors that just the $19,000 scholarship, I don't think could have opened, because that has to cover also like my salary, because I'm giving myself, I don't know, $10,000 for 6 months, which is a low salary. So it opened a lot of doors for sure, that I'm really happy that they saw the math that I did and believe that, yes, she does in fact need this money. And I did. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Very exciting.
Yeah. For me, I was like, when I was pitching, I was actually running in between classes.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know if you saw or not, but I pitched on both fast pitches.
I couldn't see. I was like, right.
Yeah. So basically, I pitched on both. The first one was right before my class. The second one was after my class. So I was the first presenter on the first one. I was competing with like 5 people. I was very comfortable with that, because I've pitched before. So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go up to the stage, do my thing, talk for 2 to 3 minutes, and then be done, go to class. That was my entire like thought process before pitching. And then after that, I actually did go to class, and then I came back. And then, when I went to class, I didn't really think about what was happening in the class. I was more thinking about, what did I just do? Like, did I miss anything? Like, did I not say enough? Did I say too much? Did I use the time enough? So like, once those thoughts came to mind, then I was like, I should say this, and this, and not say this and this. So that's what I did for the second one, right? And then that's what I did. And then, after I pitched, I felt good. I was like, yeah, I think I did pretty good. When I went up the stage, there's always the nerve, when you're up the stage. But specifically that competition was not as nerve-wracking, just because it was in Mandal Theater. There were lights, so I couldn't really see much. Yeah. But then, around 4:30, we came downstairs. And yeah, I had no clue if I was going to win or not, because I usually have no idea. But I think I did, after pitching, I think I always did good. But, winning or losing, it's not up to me. So I was... they started announcing winners. I was like, am I going to win? Am I not? Like, I don't know. I was just like, I was nervous. I was excited. It was all at the same time. And when they called my name, I was like, yes. I was like, and like for the second competition, I pitched like against 20 other people, and I feel like that's a big deal. If you had like 20 other presenters, and out of those 20, that one person who gets picked, that's you, then it's like, it really gives you that confidence that this is something like I think I can kind of relate to you winning back in November. It really like gives you that confidence that, all right, I won this. Now let me take the next step. Like, let me go to a bigger competition, or let me figure out what I'm going to do next, like altogether. So like when I won, I was very excited, because I mean, hold on, let me think. But But yeah, when they called out my name, it was initially I was nervous and excited, and after that I just switched to excited. And then we talked to like when they gave me the award, I got all the congratulations and all that, and that was nice and all. And then like at that instant, I just knew like I won this competition. I have to do more. I feel like every time you win, like you get this urge that I won this, now you got to do a better one. And then you win this, you go to a larger scale, like you're basically like scaling up. I feel like that's how like start a good business. So yeah, that was my experience for like pitching to winning the fast pitch to thoughts after.
So it was just like, I don't know. It was a really weird experience, like I felt like I'm finally the main character in my own story. Mm-hmm. So that was really nice. And then, I'm walking down the street. I have pep in my step. I'm thinking to myself, nobody knows I'm a founder. Like, so it's just kind of weird to like come to terms with it in the next few days. Those are really important. The next few days that follow, you can use that burst of motivation. I don't think I've done this as well as I'm going to say, but like what I should have done is just created a whole new routine for myself, like as a founder. Wake up early in the morning, which I don't do, go to gym every day. I could have. So it didn't change me entirely. Like I'm still the person who's late to class. But it did change me significantly that, you should be thinking about your business, in your free time, like in the shower, just think about your business, just keep like one, I don't know, just keep one tab open in your brain for your business. After you win something like this, that's like, it's kind of like a duty that you now have as somebody who's been awarded this money and been awarded this responsibility. You should feel like it's a duty, but it's not a burden. It's never a burden. It's a responsibility.
If you're enjoying it, it's fun.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Talking about pep in your step, we're going to end with a more of a fun question for all of you. What is your go-to song, artist, album that gets you pumped up before? Like you're walking to Mandel Theater, you've got some pep in your step, you're singing along, just pumping yourself up for that pitch. What's that go-to?
I don't know, Lizzo. She's like the queen of like self-confidence, so and like self-love. And she's also the queen of like, if I fail, that means I've failed now, but I'm not a failure. So that's just like it just the way that she speaks. As well as her lyrics, they're always about just like self-love. So I knew that even if I was gonna leave so that way, even if you leave without winning, you still love yourself and you still love the effort that you've put into this and the dedication that you know that you have, even if the judges can't see that, even if the judges haven't awarded you that right now.
Yeah, for me, I think it's Daniel Caesar because I'm just like anxious before I pitch. Just because like I'm an impatient person. Like I know I'm an impatient person. So if I'm like in a competition, like I also don't want to pitch first, but like I would not mind pitching first, but I just don't want to wait to pitch. It's like I'm ready to pitch, let me pitch kind of thing. So like I just listen to Daniel Caesar because it's a chill vibe. It just keeps me calm till I go up on the stage.
Gia, do you have a song if you were to pitch?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. My music taste like changes like every week. Honestly, it's just like right now I just have a playlist where I'm just like looping the same like 5 songs. I spend a lot of time in Discord talking to my friends. I basically me and my friend Ryan basically talk like all day every day. He's been busier, so I've been trying to keep myself busy by doing other things. Mm-hmm. Obviously I'm part of the Close School Ambassador program, so I have like stuff like that. But outside of that, I like to watch Netflix. I'm currently watching Outer Banks, which is kind of cringy, but it's because I watched the first 2 seasons. And I embroider. I'm also trying to get back into reading. And I love listening to podcasts. Mm-hmm. That's probably my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, I'm not a podcast person, so it's kind of funny when I.
What? Dude,
When I came-
podcasts are so fun.
I know, but like,
Yeah, I've never seen like a full podcast. I've seen like bits and bits of them.
What?
Yeah.